Well, it is the first day of school for Jefferson County. We're taking a live look this morning at the Jeffco bus depot. Darius Johnson's going to join us live from there at 6:30 this morning because a major concern right now for the district, not enough bus drivers. And you can catch Darius's report in the next half hour. While you do that and wait for that, another shortage in Jeffco schools and many other districts in our area, special education teachers. That field has been understaffed for years, and now coming out of the pandemic, kids have more needs. The professionals who work with them are getting burned out. Here's 9 News reporter Steve Stager.
We are working day by day in order to fill vacancies that we have.
That is quite a task for Jeffco's Executive Director of Special Education, Liza Meyer. The district says when it comes to learning specialists, like special education teachers, 7% of the district's available jobs in those fields remain open.
That number fluctuates depending on the needs across our building almost every day.
Matt Polero is the district's Chief Student Success Officer.
We're no different than any other district nearby.
They're actually doing better than the statewide average. The latest numbers from the Colorado Department of Education are for the 2021-22 school year. And last year, 17% of open special service provider positions remained unfilled throughout the entire school year. Special service providers include special ed teachers, specialists, and paraprofessionals.
Pre-pandemic, special education was already kind of a hard-to-fill position. We've seen the pandemic exacerbate that.
Both Polero and Meyer say the pandemic was a double-edged sword, creating more student needs.
What we saw in some cases are needs related to social-emotional development, as well as some learning loss that needs to be addressed.
Needs which created burnout for the teachers working to address them.
They are working with a lot of students that have more intensive needs, even students that they knew before the pandemic and students they know after, and working to meet needs that have changed.
Jeffco schools and all districts we talked to today say they are making adjustments to staffing to make sure there are enough resources for the kids who need it the most.
Where we can, we're using community partners, we're working with our community advocacy groups, we're partnering with neighboring districts to see what ideas they've come up with that have been successful.
Well, as for solutions here, Matt Polero with Jeffco says higher education programs that train teachers need to focus on better recruitment for special education. He also says special education needs better funding.
Today, the public will finally get to see what Denver police officers saw as they shot at a man with a gun and 6 bystanders ended up getting hurt. Denver's Department of Public Safety says it will share the body camera video of the shooting in Lodo a month after it happened. So far, police have only shared these still images from officers' body cameras. Denver police won't say if their officers shot bystanders, but they've said no one else fired around the crowd. They say Jordan Waddy pointed a gun at an officer, then 3 officers fired 7 shots. 7 people ended up hurt, including Waddy.
A Greeley High School student is in the hospital this morning after being stabbed several times by a classmate. It happened at Jefferson High School when the students were on a lunch break. Police in Greeley say the student who was stabbed is expected to survive. The school district says there was no school resource officer on the campus at the time. This is only their second day of the school year. Police were dispatched about 11:45 in the morning. Greeley police say the suspect ran from the school but was arrested later. Charges are pending for first-degree assault and interference with staff and students. The district says there will be more security at the school throughout the rest of the week. Additional counselors were also on the campus to help students. Many parents and siblings picked up students early as the news came out.
6:08 now. Friends of a man killed in a double homicide in Commerce City are hoping to get new tips that may lead to an arrest. Friends say Eric Sarmiento Rodriguez was one of 2 people killed in a parking lot on East 62nd Avenue near Vasquez Boulevard. This is back in October. According to Commerce City PD, shortly after the shooting, a person of interest was identified, but police determined he had minimal involvement in the shooting. Since then, friends say that there have been no updates as they get closer to 1 year since his death. They hope that changes.
If you know anything, just reach out. That's all I'm asking, because I feel like he deserves his justice, and it's not fair that I feel like his case is just kind of forgotten.
Well, we reached out to Commerce City PD for an update on the case, but I've yet to hear back. Last they posted in November, they were still investigating.
Leaders at a school in Summit County waited nearly a month before telling law enforcement about accusations that a middle school PE teacher touched students inappropriately. That teacher now faces 8 felony charges. Deputies arrested Leonard Grams last week. He is 61 years old. Last September, a middle school girl wrote in a statement, quote, "He put his hand on me on my breasts," end quote. That is according to an arrest affidavit. The principal read that statement, but the affidavit says no one from the school told police until nearly a month later. Advocates for victims of assault in the county say the district should have acted sooner.
They spoke up, they told an adult, they did everything that they were educated to do by adults, only for a significant delay to be the result.
The affidavit says the school principal decided the evidence, quote, just wasn't sufficient. 2 weeks later, 2 more girls came forward with accusations of inappropriate touching by the teacher, but the district's HR department decided, quote, it did not sound like Mr. Grams did anything inappropriate, end quote. School district policy and state law both require educators to immediately report accusations of abuse to law enforcement or Child Protective Services. The district didn't call police until 4 more students came forward with accusations. A school spokesperson declined to comment, but said the district is cooperating with law enforcement.
2 former Minneapolis police officers charged in George Floyd's death rejected a plea deal. They are charged with aiding and abetting second-degree unintentional murder and aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. Floyd died, as you know, in 2020 when another former officer knelt on his neck during an arrest. This means they have chosen to move forward to trial. It is scheduled to start October 24th.
And Monday marked 1 year since the last U.S. troops left Afghanistan and the Taliban took over the country. Last night, the group Afghans in Colorado gathered at the state capitol to mark what was lost. August 15th is now a public holiday there, and Taliban fighters celebrated in the streets. In the last year, women have lost most of their rights, including access to schools after the age of 11 and the ability to leave the house alone without a face covering. They've been attacked for trying to protest for their rights. The UN says nearly half of the population faces hunger and 43% regularly get 1 meal a day. The Colorado Refugee Services Program says more than 2,000 refugees from Afghanistan arrived in Colorado after the Taliban took over. The state also says that people from Afghanistan make up the largest group of refugees coming to Colorado in the last 2 years.